Alrighty, so we'll see if it works this time. It's the third time I've done it, so you'll notice there's a lot of marks on the pages here, but hopefully you'll still be able to read it clearly. I had to write on it with my laptop trackpad, so we'll see how this works. Anyways, so basically I'm going to go over the 7 questions that you missed. That way you can go back over them. If you guessed on some of the others and you happen to get it right, well, you can just, hopefully these will help with those questions as well, because a lot of it's kind of working on the same premise. You'll notice a lot of 30, 60, 90 triangles, and 45, 45, 90 special triangles. Alright, so for the first one here, it says find the area of the trapezoid, and it says leave your answer in simplest radical form. Basically, that means no decimals, okay? So if I look, they have the bottom base is marked as 10, right? And you basically got to find the other base and then the height, okay? Now I've already got the numbers in there, but I'm going to tell you how I got those, okay? You'll notice the 8 feet here over to the side. That is not the height of the trapezoid, okay? And you're probably able to figure that out. But we've got to use that 8 feet to find the height of the trapezoid, okay? So you'll notice that is the hypotenuse of a 30, 60, 90 triangle. So first I've got to go to the short leg. So since I'm going to a smaller side, that means I'm dividing by, in this case, 2. Okay? So remember, between hypotenuse and short leg, you're always dividing by 2. The reverse, you would multiply by 2. Okay? So that means this short leg is 4. To get from the short leg to the long leg, okay, you're going to multiply by square root of 3, because again I'm getting bigger, so that means I need to multiply by something, okay? So in this case I'm going to have 4 root 3 for the height, okay? So it gets me the height. We've already got the first base as 10. We don't know the second base yet, okay? So since that whole piece across the bottom is 10 feet, and I know that the short leg here was basically 4 feet longer than the other base, okay? So that means the top base here is only going to be 6 feet long, because it doesn't have that 4-piece segment, okay? So I just had to subtract there. So now I've got 1/2 times, now I've got 10 plus 6, which is 16. Half of that is 8, times the height, which we said was 4 root 3. So remember, you multiply the outsides together, insides separately. So I got 8 times 4 is 32. Root 3 can't multiply by anything. Okay, so it just stays there. For the next one here, basically, this word problem, you've got to find the area, okay? Now, I've got a rectangle and I've also got a triangle. So to find the area of the rectangle, remember you do length times width. That's a formula given to you on the SOL sheet. So I've got 25 times 12.9, that's how I got 322.5 feet squared. For the triangle, remember it's 1/2 base, which in this case is 25, times height, which is 7.2. Okay. So when I multiply 1/2 times 25 times 7.2, I get 90 on the nose. Okay. So that means the area of the whole thing combined, when I add those, is 412.5, okay? Judging by your answer, I think you got that number, okay? So my force is going to be 0.004, I'm getting that from the equation above, times A, which is the area, 412.5, times the wind speed, the velocity, which is 81 squared, okay? Now, when you multiply that out, you do get 10.826, okay? However, it says that gives it in pounds, okay? So 10,826 pounds is not the same thing as same number in tons, okay? Tons is a lot heavier. There's actually 2,000 pounds in 1 ton, okay? You can always look up unit conversions if you need to online while you're taking your quiz. That's not classified as cheating or anything like that. Any conversions that you need to make on the SOL, they'll give you like 12 inches equals a foot. 3 feet in a yard, things like that. Okay, so 2,000 pounds is in 1 ton, so all I have to do is divide 10,826 by 2,000, and you get about 5 tons. Okay. So again, with that one, I think you knew how to get the answer. Just make sure you divide by 2,000 because they wanted it in tonnage. Alright, for the next one, I've got another trapezoid. So I've got another area is 1/2 base plus base times the height. Okay, so I've got 1/2 times. Now I know the top base here is 8. You'll notice this diagram is not to scale, so I can't just go ahead and assume that the left side here is going to have a 3 just because the right side had a 3. Okay, even though they look the same. I've got to use that 45-degree angle, and you'll notice right here is a 45, 45, 90 triangle. Okay, so since one leg was 7, that means the other leg is 7. Remember, in a rectangle, opposite sides are congruent, so 8 and 8. We already had the 3, so one base across the bottom here is 18. When I add those 3, the top base is going to be 8. So I've got 1/2 times 8 plus 18, which is 1/2 times 26 times the height of 7. Okay. Remember, your height is always perpendicular to your bases. So when I multiply those, 1/2 times 26 is 13 times 7 gets you to 91. Alright, for the next one, area of a rhombus. Now you probably noticed that this one was not on the formula sheet. It will not be on the SOL formula sheet as well. The main reason why is because they assume that you can find the area of each of one of these triangles using 1/2 base times height, and then multiply by 4. And that works every time. Okay. A shortcut that I usually show my students for a kite or a rhombus to find the area, you just have 1/2 times diagonal. So that's cutting across the middle times diagonal. Okay, because remember, diagonals are perpendicular. Area, you're always multiplying things that are perpendicular. Okay, so in this case, they give me a 5, which I copied because the diagonals bisect. Okay, so I've already got one diagonal here is 10 without doing much work. Now to find the vertical diagonal here, I've got, again, another 30, 60, 90 triangle. Okay, so the 5 here is the short leg. Since I'm trying to go to the long leg, remember I'm getting bigger, so I'm multiplying by square root of 3. I can't simplify that anymore. It's 5 root 3. Okay, which means that the bottom half is also 5 root 3. Again, diagonals bisect. So I've got one diagonal of 10 from earlier, the other diagonal of 10 root 3. Okay, so I've got 1/2 times 10 times 10. That's on the outside. 1/2 of 100 is 50 times square root of 3. Okay. The next one was a little bit of a doozy here. Okay, not gonna lie, I think this was probably the hardest, next to hardest one. Actually, next to hardest one. I'll go over the hardest one here next. So it says the area of a regular hexagon is 35 inches squared. Okay, now you're not going to have to find area of regular figures on the SOL. And that's why, again, you notice it was not on the formula sheet. But I think it's still something important for geometry. That's why I still include it. Okay, so the area formula is 1/2 times little a, which is apothem. Basically, it's almost like the radius. Okay, if you think about a circle, a radius goes from the center to the edge. The apothem goes from the center and it's perpendicular to the edge. So again, it's almost like a radius. Okay, and then P is the perimeter of the hexagon, not of the little triangles that I'm about to split this up into. Okay, so if I look here, I've got this hexagon, and first what I did is I connected from the center point all the edges here. Okay, so I basically made 6 equilateral triangles. Okay. Now remember, equilateral triangles have 60 degrees, 60 degrees, and 60 degrees. Okay, which means I can split by drawing my apothem here. that triangle into a 30, 60, 90. Okay, hexagon, that's always going to be the case. Okay, excuse me. So the problem is I don't have the side length. Okay, so I'm just going to use it. I'm going to say it's x. Okay, so the short leg here is x. That means the long leg, which in this case is also the apothem, you have to multiply by square root of 3. Okay, so that means my apothem here is x square root of 3. Okay, now to find my perimeter, since this little piece is x, that means that whole side is 2 of them. Okay, so I have 2x plus another gives me 4, plus another gives me 6, plus another gives me 8, plus another gives me 10, plus the last 2 x's gives me to 12x for the perimeter. Okay, so I've got the apothem, I've got the perimeter. So now I've got 35, which is the area, equals 1/2 times x root 3 times 12x. So when I multiply 1/2 times 12, I get 6. Still have the root 3. X times x gets me to x squared, not 2x. Okay. So I've got 35 equals 6 root 3 times x squared. I have to divide by 6 root 3. Make sure when you divide in your calculator that you put it in parentheses. Otherwise, it's going to divide by 6 and multiply by square root of 3. You don't want that. Okay. So when I divide 35 by this 6 root 3, I get 3.36. Decimals are okay because it says to the nearest tenth. Okay. So that equals x squared. How do I get rid of a square? You take the square roots. Okay. So when I take the square root, you get roughly 1.835. But the problem was, that was not the whole side length. That was just half of it. So I have to double it to get to the side of the hexagon. So 1.835 times 2 gets me to 3.67, and that rounds to 37. Okay. The next one here, I think this was definitely the hardest one you had on the quiz. Okay. So it says find the area of an equilateral triangle with a radius 8 root 3. So this means basically I've got a triangle circumscribed. Okay. So talked a little bit, I believe it was chapter 5, the end of it, talked about having a triangle circumscribed by a circle. Okay. Basically, it just means that the 3 points of the triangle are on a circle. Okay. So the radius is 8 root 3. So I drew that in right here, vertical piece. Okay. And now the next part looks like a mess. I understand. Okay. So actually, I'm going to redraw this here. Might be a little bit clearer if I draw it one step at a time. Okay. So I've got an 8 root 3 is the section. Let's undo that. Let's use the line tool. Okay. So that's this little piece. Okay. That's 8 root 3. Now what I'm going to do is, I know that's the same as this radius, because all radii are the same, and this one as well. Okay. So I've got an 8 root 3 here. Oof. Told you my handwriting's bad. Alright. Now what I'm going to do is, I know that a whole circle around is 360 degrees. Okay? Which means, since now I've split it into 3 parts here, I know each angle here is 120 degrees. Okay. But that still doesn't get me to the area of this thing. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, I know just by experience, and now you'll know, I know that I need to probably use either a 30, 60, 90 triangle or a 45, 45, 90 triangle, since I've only got one side length. Okay, I can't use Pythagorean theorem because that requires two side lengths. Okay, so the only way to get to like a 30, 60, 90 or a 45, 45, 90 is I notice that if I were to split that triangle in half, I'm splitting the 120 in half, which is going to give me a 60 degrees. So now I know I've got a right angle here. I know that I've got a 30, 60, 90 triangle with a hypotenuse of 8 root 3. Okay. Might go ahead and clear this. And I'll leave that step right there. Alright, so I've got 8 root 3 is the hypotenuse. To get from hypotenuse to short leg, I'm going to go ahead and just divide by 2, okay? So I've got 8 root 3. When I divide by 2, I get to 4 root 3. Okay. So now I've got 4 root 3 for this short leg, but I still need to find this piece that's perpendicular so that I can find the area, because I've got to do the base times the height of this triangle. Okay, so that means I've got to go from short leg to long leg, which means I've got to multiply by square root of 3. So remember, when you multiply 4 root 3 times root 3, the root 3 is almost like cancel, and you're just multiplying by 3. Okay, so I'm just going to end up with 4 times 3, which is 12. Okay, so 4 square root of 3 times square root of 3 is just going to be 12. Okay, so now there's basically a couple different options that you can do here. Okay, now one way is I can basically have the base of this triangle is going to be 24 of the equilateral triangle, and the height I know then is going to be 4 root 3 plus 8 root 3, which gets me to 12 root 3. So I'd have 1/2 times the base of 24 times the height of 12 root 3. Okay, a lot of times that throws people off. Okay, so another way that you can do this is I'm going to find the area of just that little triangle. Okay, just the little one we've been dealing with. It's supposed to be a triangle. So I'm going to have 1/2 times 4 root 3, which is my height, times the base, which is 12. Okay, so 1/2 times 4 times 12 is going to give me, 24 root 3. That's a 2 here. Alright, and I know if I split this up, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I can multiply 24 times 6. I get 144 root 3. So that's another way. There's 2 ways you can do this one. Okay, just pick whichever's easiest for you. Okay. The last one, going to be tremendously easy compared to that one, is it's still not easy, but a lot easier than the last one, I should say. Again, finding the area of trapezoid. You notice there's a 45 degrees. So again, I'm using special triangles here. So that's why I like to save this section to near the end, because it really is a good review for that chapter 8 stuff. Okay, so I've got one base already is 11 feet. The other base is 17. Sweet, so I've already got 2 out of the 3 items I need. Now I need to find the height. Okay, now I know that this little leg piece here is 6. Way I know that is this base is 6 feet longer than the other one. That means this little extra piece has to be 6. Okay, since it's a 45, 45, 90 triangle, I know the legs are the same, so that means each piece is going to be 6. Okay, so now I've got 1/2 times, we already knew the bases, added together are 28, times the height of 6. So I've got 1/2 times 28 is 14, times 6 gets you to 84. Okay, so hopefully that helped you out. I'll give you until Monday evening to take the quiz, since I got the video to you late. Just my program wasn't working very well this evening. I think it finally worked. We'll see here. That way you've got all weekend to do it, because I know it'd be hard to try to rush through it in 3 hours tonight. If you have any questions on the video or any other ones from your quiz, just let me know and I'll be happy to answer those. All right.